And in our online poll last night, we asked you to name the greater threat to national security. 93% of you said it's Obama's nuclear deal with Iran that cost $150 billion and assures a nuclear weapon. Just 7% said the greater threat was Michael Flynn talking to a Russian ambassador. Well, joining me now, political reporter for The Federalist, Bree Payton, and Republican campaign strategist Tony Sayegh. And Bree, let's start with you. Did you enjoy the presidential news conference today?
Oh, I did. I thought it was amazing. It was amazing watching the reporters get what was coming to them and that it was served to them from President Donald Trump. It was great. I think that, it's very clear that Americans and conservatives love watching the media get their butts kicked. And it's clear that Donald Trump likes to do it. And I think there's no shortage of outrage that is going to come from the media from this, right? So it's kind of like this big never-ending cycle in the sense that, okay, here we have the president who's going to basically spank them on TV, and then everyone is going to like watching it.
Tony, Tony, we were talking during the break about the fact that there's a lot of people in Washington who don't get President Trump. How many more of these will it take in order till they get it?
Well, look, Donald Trump understands something that's essential in negotiation, which is that the aggressor sets the terms. And we've never once, certainly on the Republican side, had a individual so willing to set the terms to play hardball with an opponent. And sadly, we've become kind of numb to the idea that the press is biased up until now. And Donald Trump won't take that sitting down. And you saw that today. And I would imagine that it might take a few more instances like this to demonstrate that the rules have changed. I mean, Chuck Todd made some ridiculous comment that what Trump did today was un-American. I would say what's un-American is that you don't have a free and fair press. That's really the more un-American aspect of what's been happening for too long. And Donald Trump seriously is committed to changing that dynamic.
And yet, Bree, the press should be adversarial, not advocates. They should not be waving the flag like they have the last 8 years. Maybe that's what it is. People just aren't used to seeing a press actually question a president. But this is more than that. And this almost seems Nixonian to me, where there's a campaign to go after the president. Yeah,
you're completely right. I mean, several exchanges among members in the press, most notably CNN's Jim Acosta, and the president. It was very clear that they were trying to make that entire exchange all about themselves, and they were trying to make themselves like this very big victim, right? And going after him and doubling down on kind of dumb little things that don't matter, like the electoral count. Okay, we've had the result for months. I mean, why is that such a big deal? Yet they're digging in and doubling down on these kind of petty issues that aren't that big of a deal. And then when the president kind of pushes back or reacts to it, then they play victim and are like, oh, why are you trying to delegitimize me? Why are you doing this to me? So I think that kind of behavior or attitude is really frustrating for Americans who do rely on the press and on the media to report and tell them what's going on. And seeing that just confirms the biases that the public have in their heads that, look, these kind of people aren't objective. They're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're playing victim and trying to make it all about themselves.
Yeah.
Well, look, I mean, think about what Jim Acosta said last night in a live newscast. This is the CNN's White House correspondent, not an analyst, not someone who has an opinion show. This is the White House correspondent, said the fix was in because he wasn't called on in the White House briefing room. So this goes to show you the ideology, the mentality of a lot of these. We say mainstream. I don't like that term. I think elite liberal press corps. Mainstream is not elite and liberal, okay? This is a press corps that's gotten away with way too much, and now the rules are changing, and they're not happy with that.
But here's the other part behind all of this is that we spent most of the show talking about these things, but Bree, today, after all of this, the president went into the Roosevelt Room, and there were some coal miners in there, and Rand Paul and Joe Manchin. There was a little bit of everybody. And he signed, well, I didn't know what he was signing at first. It looked like another executive order. But no, it was passed by the Senate, passed by the House, legislation to take a lot of the restricting regulations off of the coal miners, which was another campaign promise. And that already went through the Senate and the House and onto the president's desk. It was legislation he signed today. We're not even talking about the accomplishments today.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so you're right. You're right. Donald Trump did sign that bill in order to alleviate a lot of the restrictions on coal and the coal industry. And, we know that if the reverse of the electoral result had happened and Hillary Clinton was the one in office, we know that, it would be a very different story that we're talking about today. She said personally on the campaign trail that she was going to go after
But here's
coal.
the thing. We're talking about everything but that. But we got to leave it there. But Bree Payton, Tony Sayegh, thank you both very